Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about why on max effort lifts we rotate lifts. And a lot of it has to do with getting stronger at a variety of angles. Now, I discussed, in a fairly recent video, that one of the reasons we do it is to avoid overuse. Because again, we're lifting fairly heavy weights frequently, overuse can accrue. Just like too much volume with the same movement pattern, too much heavy lifting with the same movement pattern tends to accumulate overuse. Injury rates can tend to go up as a result of doing that. But the point is, they don't have to. We can rotate movements and actually significantly reduce that. But another thing that we have to think about has to do with being strong at a variety of angles. For example, you'll see here just with various bench pressing, squatting, deadlifting, you'll see me squat with different bars. You'll see some of my lifters squat against bands, chains, different bars, things like that. Again, you guys have seen the vlog. You see enough of my lifters put stuff up that when we're doing the conjugate type training and we are hitting, heavy singles every single week on 2 or 3 different movements. All right, we're doing that on 2 or 3 different movements. We rotate those movements. We change bars. You'll see in this one, Mike benching against chains. All right, you'll see Mike benching against chains. You'll see him doing floor presses. And what do we get from that? Well, a lot of what we get from this is that we have to get stronger at different angles. When you change the range of motion, such as, again, watching that deficit deadlift, or you watch a floor press or a board press where you stop a little bit short of the chest, the point of peak mechanical tension on the muscles changes. Okay, it changes. Particularly when range of motion at the bottom of a movement gets changed. That absolutely changes where we have the most mechanical tension on certain muscles involved. And that then therefore changes where they have to contract the hardest to move through that point. That also changes when we have to go from any form of dead stop movement to a full range of motion. Or something we can use a stretch reflex to any extent. Floor press versus bench, even if you're strong enough to get within an inch of your chest or lightly touch your chest on the floor press, we come to a dead stop. We can't use leg drive. Therefore, the mechanical tension at that point relative to the weight may be even higher than we're used to there. We have no other way to accelerate the weight through. Squatting off of pins. Now, a box squat's completely different. I won't mention that there. Squatting off of pins versus, a normal free squat. Just a normal back squat. We lose that stretch reflex, that ability to rebound off of our hamstrings. Okay, it has different rate of force production demands at that point. So again, that changes when we change the range of motion. The deadlifts, you'll notice some of these are block pulls. Some of them are deficit pulls. It changes it. All right, when we go from sumo to conventional deadlift, what happens? The whole bar path changes. The entire emphasis changes. But if we go from a wide grip bench to a closed grip bench, not as extreme as the deadlift example, but what happens? Muscle emphasis changes, bar path changes, touch point changes. All right, these are significant because why? These are movements that can pull us out of our groove. They're a different groove. It's a different bar path. Okay, if we have to get stronger at different bar paths, what happens? Well, when things go a little squirrely with a lift, guess what? It teaches us to drive through. It teaches us to learn to be strong at a variety of angles. Now, the counter argument for powerlifting, and of course this doesn't apply to any other sport, the counter argument to powerlifting, yeah, but if you just practice your groove, what happens? Well, you can just groove with it. Well, that's well and good till you get out of your groove. Something goes wrong, which frequently does on a true 1 rep max in competition. We have to learn to get back into that groove. When things misgroove, we have to learn to apply maximum force and get that bar back into the position and lock it anyways. All right, this helps us do that. Helps us do that. When we change the ranges of motion slightly, it does the same thing. We have to learn to accelerate from a different point. Well, that matters if that's a point where we ever get out of a groove. We can then push through. With the bands and chains, particularly when we do against bands, what happens? We have to learn to explode through, even when it feels awkward. Okay, do we understand where we're going with that part? It means if you miss groove, you can still explode and push through it and get it back into a favorable bar path. Change our strength curve. They take the mechanical tension where it's highest and they can extend the point where it does that. Also, chains can swing on you. They teach you to push through when things groove slightly different. How about changing bars? That's a big one. How about your squatting? You guys will see me squat with a cambered bar. You'll see me squat with a safety bar. I wish all my lifters had both. What does that do? The safety bar pitches you forward. The cambered bar pitches you backwards. What does that mean on a max squat? That means if you've trained to hit heavy singles at 95% in that range or even higher, anything above 90% really, you know how to lift a heavy weight if you get pitched forward or if you get pitched backwards. You're good for either direction on a misgroove. Like me at a meet, I bombed 2 of my squats after my opener trying to set a new state record that I should have got. I was fatigued. I messed up my refeed a little bit, ate some of the wrong foods. It cost me, but my chest caved. Had I been doing more safety bar work going into that, what do you think would have happened? I probably would have been able to drive through and lock it. Because I'd be used to grooving through that when things get squirrely. All right. Using these different maxes teaches us how to explode at different angles, to explode and drive through and grind through a heavy weight quickly when things go wrong. Now that's for powerlifting. Think about how that applies to contact sports. If we're maxing out with 3 different bars on the squat, different deadlifts, bands, chains, pull heights, benching with different angles, different grips, what does that mean for contact sports where you always get pulled into bizarre angles? Well, it means you're going to be ready for it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.